2 weeks ago, a viewer named Shirley from Alberta left a comment that I have not stopped thinking about. She wrote, Linda, I am 64 years old. I worked as a home care aide for 31 years and raised 3 children mostly on my own. I had gaps in my working years because of caregiving. I just found out those gaps are going to significantly reduce my CPP for the rest of my life. A friend who retired last year knew about specific rules that exist for women in my situation and used them. I did not know. My monthly retirement income is going to be lower than it needed to be because nobody told me these rules existed in time. Not Service Canada, not the CRA, nobody. That comment received over 1,000 replies from women in British Columbia, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick, all describing the same thing. Gaps from caregiving years, lower retirement income than their work history should have produced, and specific rules designed exactly for their situation that nobody had ever explained to them. Today, I am giving Shirley and every Canadian senior woman watching the complete picture. The new rules in 2026 changing CPP, OAS, and GIS specifically for women, what each one means for your monthly income, and what you need to do right now. Before I walk you through everything, one critical thing. The next CPP and OAS payment date is approaching, and Service Canada will not send you a personal letter explaining which of these rules apply to your specific situation. Subscribe and turn on notifications right now so every time something this important comes up, you find out from this channel with enough time to act. Now let me show you what changed and why every Canadian senior woman needs to know this today. This is not about one small adjustment. It is about a set of rules within the Canadian benefit system that specifically address retirement income gaps affecting women at a statistically higher rate than men, and that most women receiving or approaching CPP, OAS, and GIS have never had clearly explained. According to Statistics Canada, Canadian women aged 65 and older receive on average a lower CPP retirement pension than men of the same age, primarily because women are more likely to have had interrupted working years due to caregiving for children or aging parents, more likely to have worked part-time during portions of their careers, and more likely to have had lower average earnings in historically female-dominated occupations. According to Service Canada published data, the average CPP for women is meaningfully lower than for men, and a significant portion of that gap is attributable to caregiving rather than choice. The Canadian benefit system has specific provisions designed to address exactly this gap, and 2026 has brought updated application of several of them that every woman in retirement or approaching it needs to understand right now. The first rule every Canadian senior woman needs to understand is the child-rearing dropout provision within CPP and how the 2026 update to how it is applied is affecting current payment calculations. According to Canada.ca, SCPP child-rearing dropout provision pages, this provision allows periods of low or zero earnings while raising children under 7 to be excluded from the CPP calculation, which prevents those caregiving years from dragging down the average earnings used to calculate the retirement benefit. For women who raised children and had gaps or reductions in their working years during that period, this provision can meaningfully increase their CPP entitlement. What changed in 2026 is how Service Canada is applying this provision to women who may not have formally claimed it when they first applied for CPP and who are now receiving a pension calculated without its full benefit. According to Canada.ca, women who believe the child-rearing dropout was not correctly applied can request a review and recalculation, and the 2026 update has streamlined this process. The maximum CPP retirement pension is a confirmed monthly amount per Canada.ca, while the average woman receiving CPP gets considerably less, partly because of legitimately lower contributions, but partly because the child-rearing dropout has not always been fully applied to every eligible account. Who benefits most includes women who raised children born after 1958 and had periods of reduced or zero employment income during those years that were not excluded from their CPP calculation. Who is not affected includes women who have already had the full dropout correctly applied and whose CPP already reflects the complete exclusion of qualifying low-income years. The second rule is where most women get caught off guard, and it involves GIS calculations for women who are widowed, separated, or recently divorced. According to Canada.ca, quote, SGIS guidelines, when a marriage or common law partnership ends, the GIS eligibility calculation reverts to individual income rather than combined household income, which for many women means their GIS entitlement is significantly higher than it was in a two-person household. The critical issue is that this recalculation does not always happen automatically when Service Canada is notified of a marital status change, and women who experienced a separation, divorce, or the death of a spouse in the past 3 years may be receiving GIS that still reflects their previous household income rather than their current individual income. The maximum GIS for a single senior is a confirmed monthly amount per Canada.ca, while the average woman who has recently become single and had her GIS correctly recalculated typically sees a meaningful increase. Who needs to check this immediately includes every woman who has been separated, divorced, or widowed in the past 3 years and has not verified with Service Canada that GIS has been recalculated on her individual income alone. Who is not affected includes women who have been single throughout retirement and whose GIS has always been calculated individually. Here is the insider knowledge moment almost nobody explains clearly, and it specifically matters for women. There is a provision called pension sharing under the Canada Pension Plan that allows a couple where both partners are at least 60 to share their CPP retirement pensions for tax purposes, redirecting a portion of the higher earning spouse's CPP to the lower earning spouse. For couples where the husband contributed more to CPP, this arrangement reduces total household tax by shifting income from the higher bracket spouse to the lower one. What most women with lower CPP than their husbands have never been told is that this is a voluntary arrangement requiring both spouses to apply. It does not change the underlying CPP entitlement, and it can only be in effect while both spouses are alive and together. Women who have never applied for pension sharing with an eligible spouse are potentially paying more total household income tax than necessary. Canadians who work with retirement financial planners have pension sharing applied automatically when the savings are meaningful. Most Canadian women on CPP and OAS find out about this option only from a channel like this one. Now you know before another year passes without it. The third rule connects directly to both OAS and GIS together and involves the updated survivor benefit coordination for women receiving both their own CPP and ACPP survivor pension from a deceased spouse. According to Canada.ca, quote, S combined, CPP benefit rules, the maximum combined amount from both benefits is subject to a cap, and the 2026 CPP enhancement update changed how that cap is calculated for some women in ways that can either increase or maintain their combined benefit. Who is most affected includes women who began receiving a CPP survivor pension within the past 3 years, and whose combined calculation was established before the 2026 enhancement rate update. Who is not affected includes women receiving only their own CPP retirement pension with no survivor component. Now, here's the connection most coverage misses completely. The child rearing dropout affects your CPP amount. Your CPP flows into the GIS reduction formula at 50 cents per dollar, meaning a correctly calculated higher CPP from the dropout provision reduces GIS, but produces a net income increase in most cases. Your GIS combined with OAS determines your provincial supplement eligibility. Your survivor benefit or pension sharing arrangement affects your total reportable income flowing into your OAS clawback calculation and your GIS figure simultaneously. All of these rules connect through the same income figure on your CRA tax return. And for women whose income situation is more complex than a straightforward single employer pension, getting every rule correctly applied requires a comprehensive review rather than assuming the automatic calculation captured everything. Shirley did not know about any of these connections. She knew her projected CPP was lower than it should be. She did not know about the child rearing dropout review, the pension sharing arrangement, or how a survivor benefit would interact with her own CPP and GIS simultaneously in the future. Shirley contacted Service Canada 2 weeks after leaving her comment and asked specifically for a review of her CPP calculation to confirm the child rearing dropout had been correctly applied for all years she was raising children while her employment was reduced. The review confirmed 2 years had not been correctly excluded. A recalculation was initiated, and 6 weeks later, Shirley received written confirmation that her projected CPP had been adjusted upward. She also asked about pension sharing with her spouse and received information about how to apply jointly. She told me the difference between the initial projected amount and the corrected amount applied monthly for the rest of her retirement was a total she found genuinely significant. If Shirley had found this channel 3 years earlier, she would have had more time to ensure every provision was correctly applied before making final retirement timing decisions. So here are 3 steps you can complete this week. Step 1, log into your MyService Canada account at canada.ca/en/employment-social-development and review your CPP statement to confirm the child rearing dropout provision has been applied for all years. You were raising children under 7 with reduced or 0 employment income. If you are not certain, call Service Canada at 1-800-277-9914 and ask specifically for a child rearing dropout review on your file. Step 2. If your marital status changed in the past 3 years through separation, divorce, or the death of a spouse, call Service Canada and confirm your GIS is currently being calculated on your individual income alone rather than any previous household income figure still on your file. Also, ask about pension sharing if you are currently in a relationship where your spouse's CPP is higher than yours. Step 3, share this video with every woman you know approaching retirement or already receiving CPP and OAS, especially any woman who had years of reduced employment due to caregiving, because these are exactly the women most likely receiving less than they are entitled to and least likely to have been told a review and correction is possible. One important warning. Scammers are targeting Canadian senior women with calls claiming to help them access the child rearing dropout benefit or increase their CPP for a processing fee. This is a scam. Every review described in this video is free and initiated directly through Service Canada with no third party and no fee required. The CRA will never demand immediate payment by phone or ask for gift cards. Hang up immediately and report it to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre at 1-888-495-8501. Of the rules I described today, which one was most new to you and most relevant to your own situation? And if you had caregiving gaps in your working years, did you know before watching this video that those years could be excluded from your CPP calculation? Drop your province in the comments because I want to understand how many Canadian women are finding out today for the first time that a review of their CPP could correct an underpayment, quietly reducing their monthly retirement income. What we covered today is confirmed, and these rules are already in effect in 2026. More benefit updates affecting Canadian senior women are scheduled before the end of this year, and Service Canada will not send you a personal explanation of which provisions apply to your situation. Subscribe now so that information reaches you here before it affects your payment. You spent your entire working life contributing to this country, often in ways that went far beyond any single employer or any single paycheck. You earned every dollar of these benefits. Make sure every rule that exists to protect your retirement income is actually being applied to your file. I am Canada Seniors Update, and I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourself.